A prominent Jewish author has debunked the bogus anti-Semitism smears against Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn in the Times of Israel. It is probably the most powerful dismantling of the smear campaign yet, stating unequivocally that it is an absurdity, a distraction, and a massive error. The Anatomy of a Smear Campaign. Joseph Finley is the former deputy editor of the Jewish Quarterly and co-founder of a range of grassroots Jewish organizations. On the 26th of March, he penned a piece for the UK partner of the Times of Israel entitled "Jeremy Corbyn is an anti-racist, not an anti-Semite." Finley writes that, like every good story, it starts with a grain of truth. Among Labour's 500,000 members lies a small minority of people who hold anti-Semitic views. But this truth, he writes, was turned into a dark guilt by association subplot with the cynical, grand finale we should all have expected. It is no longer just that the leadership of the Labour Party has been soft on anti-Semitism. Jeremy Corbyn himself is, drumroll, an anti-Semite. Now the villain of the tale has finally been unmasked. The code is inevitable. Jeremy Corbyn will be forced out, the Blairites will return to great fanfare, and everyone will live happily ever after in a centrist Eden. This story is now out of control. It is distorting, rather than helping us understand reality. The reality. Finley points out that, while authors of the smear wish to portray Corbyn as an anti-Semite, reality says otherwise. Jeremy Corbyn has been MP for Islington North since 1983, a constituency with a significant Jewish population. Given that he has regularly polled over 60% of the vote, 73% in 2017, it seems likely that a sizable number of Jewish constituents voted for him. He is close friends with the leaders of the Jewish Socialist Group, from whom he has gained a rich knowledge of the history of the Jewish Labour Bund, and he has named the defeat of Mosley's fascists at the Battle of Kabul as a key historical moment for him. His 2017 Holocaust Memorial Day statement talked about Shmuel Zygielboj, the Polish Bund leader exiled to London who committed suicide in an attempt to awaken the world to the Nazi genocide. How many British politicians have that level of knowledge of modern Jewish history? He goes on to state that Jeremy Corbyn is one of the leading anti-racists in Parliament, and continues, "I would go so far to say that he is one of the least racist MPs we have." The evidence is in Corbyn's record of voting and protesting against racism. While Corbyn was being arrested for protesting apartheid South Africa, the Conservative Party was calling for Nelson Mandela to be hanged as a terrorist. Finley asks, who do you put your trust in, the people who hate anti-Semitism because they hate all racism, or the people, be they in the Conservative Party or the press, who praise Jews whilst engaging in Islamophobia and anti-black racism? The right-wing proponents of the Labour anti-Semitism narrative seek to divide us into good and bad minorities. They do not have the well-being of Jews at heart. The danger of buying into the smear. In his concluding paragraphs, Finley highlights the dangers of allowing the right to hijack anti-Semitism for its own ends. He calls on us to return the story to the facts. The Labour Party has a small number of anti-Semites, and on discovering them, it expels them. But, if the Conservatives took the same approach to racism, they would have to suspend their own Foreign Secretary, who has described Africans as Pakistanis, and described Barack Obama as the part Kenyan president with an ancestral dislike of the British Empire. From the Monday Club, linked to the National Front, to MB Aidan Burley dressing up as a Nazi, to Linton Crosby's dog whistle portrayal of Ed Miliband as a nasal North London intellectual, it is the Conservative Party that is deeply tainted by racism and anti-Semitism. He finishes, there are many threats to Jews, and we are right to be vigilant. These threats come primarily from resurgent nationalism, anti-immigrant sentiment, and a Brexit narrative that seeks to restore Britain to a mythical age of ethnic purity. The idea that Britain's leading anti-racist politician is the key problem the Jewish community faces is an absurdity, a distraction, and a massive error. It's time to listen to Jewish voices on the left. Ultimately, it's time to listen to Jewish voices on the left. Because it is these voices that carry the most authority on the issue. And they are speaking loudly right now, if people would only listen. As the progeny of a Jewish family, I couldn't be more stunned at 2018 Britain. Sums up everything that's wrong with this coordinated, politically motivated attack on Jeremy Corbyn. In other words, non-Jews condemning Jews as anti-Semites. What a horrible state Britain is in 2018. Always being with the oppressed, and never with the oppressor. Marek Edelman, a leader of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. Miriam Yagid, at Yagud Miriam. March 26, 2018. There should be no place to hide in Labour for people who promote anti-Semitic views. To pretend that the party is the natural home of racists is, as Finley states, nonsense. It's time for a zero-tolerance approach to this cynical weaponization of Jewish trauma for political ends. It is never okay to hijack a community's lived experience to deploy against political foes. Never. Get involved. Support the Stop Funding Hate campaign. Demand that advertisers withdraw funding from newspapers and websites that promote hate speech. Support the work of Hope Not Hate. Join the Canary, so we can keep holding the powerful to account. Read and support other independent media outlets: Media Diversified, Novara Media, Corporate Watch, Red Pepper, New Internationalist, Common Space, Media Lens, Bella Caledonia, Vox Political, Evolve Politics, Real Media, Real News, Strike Magazine, The Bristol Cable, The Meteor, The Squawk Box, Salford Star, The Ferret. Featured image via Times of Israel.